All right, welcome back everyone to another explainer. Today we're getting our hands dirty with a device that's basically just refusing to play by the rules, the Xiaomi 17 Ultra. We have a mountain of dense, really fascinating specs to decode today, so let's just jump right into the absolute powerhouse we're dealing with.
You know, the word Ultra gets thrown around a lot in the tech world these days, but what does it actually take to earn that title? Today, we are going to skip the standard monotonous spec sheet reading. Instead, let's really deconstruct these numbers, take a hard look at the hardware architecture, and find out what actually elevates this device to the Ultra tier.
Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1. Meet the Xiaomi 17 Ultra.
So, looking at the physical footprint, it's about 163 millimeters tall and just over 8 millimeters thick. It's a substantial piece of tech. And notice that weight, up to 219 grams, especially if you grab that gorgeous starlit green finish. That weight isn't an accident. It's a dead giveaway of just how densely packed this premium hardware is. You really feel the build quality the second you pick it up.
Moving from the chassis to the sensory output, we hit Section 2, a dazzling display experience.
3,500. Honestly, just take a second to wrap your head around that number. That is the multi-scenario peak brightness of this 6.9-inch Hyper RGB OLED display, measured in nits, all glowing under their Shield Glass 3.0. Practically speaking, whether you're reviewing shots in the blazing midday sun or streaming video at the beach, you're getting absolutely uncompromised, crystal clear visibility.
But brightness is only half the story here. This panel has a dynamic refresh rate that scales seamlessly all the way from a super efficient 1 Hz right up to a buttery smooth 120 Hz. So you get that perfect balance of visual fluidity when you're scrolling and extreme battery efficiency when you're reading static text. Add in 12-bit color depth and Dolby Vision support, and yeah, you are literally carrying a cinematic professional-grade viewing experience in your pocket. Of course, driving millions of pixels at 120 frames per second requires some serious brains. That brings us to Section 3, Raw Power and Hyper AI.
And this brilliantly illustrates the engine inside this machine, the cutting-edge 3nm Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 mobile platform. Look at how this power is distributed. On the left, you've got 2 prime cores hitting a blistering 4.6 GHz for those immediate lightning-fast tasks. Then on the right, 6 performance cores up to 3.62 GHz for the heavy, sustained lifting. It's the ultimate setup for insane burst speed without burning out your battery.
To feed that absolute beast of a processor, we're looking at up to 16 gigs of ultra-fast LPDDR5X RAM and a massive 1 terabyte of UFS 4.1 storage. Now, quick aside, you know the drill with the fine print. The operating system and pre-installed apps will naturally chew up a little slice of that terabyte pie. But even so, the headroom here is just immense.
So, what is all this raw processing power actually doing day to day? It's driving the Xiaomi Hyper AI suite. By leaning on that dedicated Qualcomm AI engine, it basically turns your phone into a pocket-sized super assistant. We're talking real-time AI interpreters, speech recognition, dynamic wallpapers, plus seamless integration with Circle to Search and Google Gemini. It's really built to intelligently anticipate what you need and wipe out daily friction points.
Now, obviously running an elite processor and all those heavy AI models generates some serious heat. To keep things from melting down or throttling, they've integrated the Xiaomi 3D dual-channel ice loop system. This intricate cooling setup makes sure all that raw processing power stays completely stable and safe, even when you're really pushing the device for hours.
Which brings us to the main event, Section 4, the Leica Optics Revolution.
200. Just let that drop for a second. Hidden behind those professional Leica Summilux lenses is a massive 200-megapixel Samsung HPE sensor, and that's just inside the telephoto lens. With a 16-in-1 pixel setup and optical image stabilization, it means even when you are totally punched in on a shot, the amount of rich, sharp detail you capture is just absurd.
Breaking down the whole Vario Appa Summilux array here, the capabilities are staggering. Your main camera rocks a massive 1-inch sensor at 50 megapixels with a 23mm focal length. Then there's that telephoto we just talked about, a 1/1.4-inch 200-megapixel beast covering the 75 to 100mm range. And to wrap it up, a 50-megapixel ultra-wide at 14mm. Why do these sensor sizes matter? Because larger sensors just gobble up light. You're getting phenomenal dynamic range and killer low-light performance across virtually any focal length.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the sheer firepower handed over to video creators. This is way past simple point-and-shoot territory. We are talking 8K recording at 30 frames per second. Need it smoother? How about 4K Dolby Vision at an incredible 120 frames per second? They even threw in log video recording, so professional colorists have the exact flat profile they need to really push the grade in post-production. It's a total game changer.
Hey, don't sleep on the front of the device either. That front camera packs a massive 50-megapixel sensor with a wide 90-degree field of view. And yes, it also supports 4K Dolby Vision video recording. So whether you're taking high-res selfies or doing some pro-level vlogging, the front glass is literally just as uncompromising as the back.
All right, final pillar. All these bright screens and huge camera sensors demand serious energy. Section 5, extreme endurance and connectivity.
6,000. That is the typical milliamp-hour capacity of the battery inside this phone. It is a massive reservoir of power, and it's designed specifically so that running that incredibly bright screen and that 3-nanometer processor won't leave you stranded and hunting for a wall outlet halfway through your day. But, when you finally do run out of juice, the charging speeds are absolutely blistering. Look at the flexibility you get here. 90-watt wired hypercharge when you are tethered to a cable, and a wildly impressive 50-watt wireless hypercharge for when you want to power up completely cord-free.
So the specs are sky high, but is it actually durable? It carries an IP68 rating, but let's actually unpack what that lab testing entailed. It's certified for submersion in static fresh water up to 6 meters deep for 30 minutes. But, and this is a big but, it was tested with a temperature delta of 5 degrees Celsius or less between the water and the phone. It's really vital to know these exact limits. It means you're totally covered for everyday accidents, but yeah, definitely don't take it scuba diving.
Finally, keeping you connected swiftly and securely, the 17 Ultra is completely future-proofed. We're talking next-gen Wi-Fi 7 capability, Bluetooth 6.0 with dual Bluetooth support, flexible dual SIM options including eSIM, and an ultrasonic in-screen fingerprint sensor that is just incredibly fast and secure for your biometrics.
So what does this all mean? We've decoded the numbers. We've broken down the architecture. The sheer density of innovation packed into the Xiaomi 17 Ultra is, honestly, it's kind of mind-blowing. So I'll leave you with this final thought. When you place professional-grade Leica glass, blistering 3-nanometer processing, and advanced Hyper AI right into the palm of your hand, what will you capture? Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, everyone. Keep exploring, and I'll catch you in the next one.